They're both young CEOs with impressive achievements, but they have very different identities. He's an Omega with the looks of a rose, and the type of the his pheromone levels are naturally way too high. He's always worried about losing control, so he carries suppressants every day to avoid messing up his daily. He looks tough on the outside, but inside he's actually really fragile. Meanwhile, the other one's an alpha, smells like white sand, dark as ink on the inside. He's also dealing with super high pheromone levels, afraid of losing control, so he's also carrying suppressants all the time. In a fancy hotel, Xiaoqi checks his watch nervously, then looks up and breathes a huge sigh. Finally, the person he's waiting for shows up. Yu Zhao walks in under the lights, moving with purpose. You can't help but admire his elegance and confidence. What's up? Xiaoqi, our President Chang and President Lu here. Xiaoqi, Yu Zhao. It's not just them. President Yang showed up. This deal was originally Yu Zhao's project. He spent half a month eating dust just to lock down President Chang. Never expected Yu Yang to suddenly swoop in. Xiaoqi Wong Ji Zhao worriedly. We can't let him steal this from us. President Zhao, you worked so hard on this for so long. Finally got President Chang on board. Now finished. President Yang shows up but to take credit. But Yu Zhao just casually replies, of course not. He knows full well, as an Omega doing business deals, he's got to work 200% harder than his competition, just to get 100% respect. But to him, by crushing an alpha, and taking back what's his, is as easy as drinking water. Right then, Yu Yang walks over with a smile. Oh wow, look who it is. If it isn't pleasant, he tries to put his hand on Yu. Jiao Shao smoothly dodges it. Yu Yang doesn't care. Still smiling, he leads Yu Zhao into the private room. Sorry about that. Had to step out to pick up my Omega brother. Where were we just now? When they see Yu Zhao arrive, they just give him a slight nod. Yu Yang's lips curl into a smug smile, thinking Yu Zhao Xi. They're working with the company either way. An alpha like him is obviously the better choice. No matter how good you are, you're still just a second-rate Omega. Yu Zhao knows. They like Yu Yang at first sight, because Yu Yang's an alpha. But Yu Zhao's used to this unwritten rule. He already has a plan. Let him enjoy it a little longer. The server attends to Yu Zhao, asking what he needs. Yu Zhao answers briefly. The server pours tea for Yu Zhao, then suddenly releases strong pheromone. This makes Yu Zhao uneasy. He immediately checks his neck patch. Everything's fine. He breathes a sigh of relief. Yu Zhao's pheromone scent is way too strong, so he always wears a thin pheromone blocker on his neck, so others can't smell it. To protect himself, Yu Zhao stands up, says excuse me for a moment, watching Yu Zhao leave. Yu Yang smiles confidently. Yu Zhao has a secret. Very few people know it, but that's his half-brother. Yu Yang knows Yu Zhao's pheromones are naturally super concentrated. If an alpha has high pheromone levels, that's obviously a great thing. But for an Omega, for his alpha, that's also a great thing, right? The blocker patch is fine, but just to be safe, Yu Zhao decides to go to the restroom and take a suppressant. He gets to the restroom. Like usual, he takes out a suppressant and injects himself. But shortly after the injection, Yu Zhao's body has an abnormal reaction. His heartbeat becomes rapid and irregular. He softly slides down to the restroom floor. Wash it back there. Realizing something's wrong, Yu Zhao immediately calls Xiaoqi, hoping he can bring suppressants. But no matter how many times he dials, the call won't go through. Just then, Ku Jing walks up to the restroom door, sees the cleaning sign, figures there shouldn't be anyone inside. But he never imagined. The man hears strange sounds from inside the restroom, so he rushes in to help, but instead runs into a bound Omega. Ku Jing has to admit, he's really shocked by what he's seeing. Yu Zhao right now has lost his usual his whole body's burning. Ku Jing immediately crouches in front of him, gently comforting him. Don't be scared, I'm here to help. Then he quickly removes the tie from Yu Zhao's mouth. Yu Zhao almost immediately moans. His breath falls on Ku Jing's lips. Ku Jing catches it's like roses, but sweeter than roses. This intoxicating aroma, like a beautiful person made of honey and roses. Ku Jing reaches out to untie Yu Zhao. The honey rose beauty immediately falls into Ku Jing's arms, radiating undeniable heat. Yu Zhao keeps his eyes closed, greedily pressing his lips to Ku Jing's neck. The musk scent coming from there makes Yu Zhao feel strangely refreshed. Hey, don't bite. He understands this gorgeous Omega in front of him, but it's okay. He'll help him. Comforts Yu Zhao. This might hurt a little. Yu Zhao cries out. Pain shoots from his butt. The instant effect suppressant has to be injected in the room. Going back half an hour. Today Ku Jing's at the Yuanya Hotel for a business meeting. The other guy checks out Ku Jing. Your alpha pheromones are super strong. Ku Jing shrugs and nods. So it might not feel that obvious. The guy pokes him curiously. So Omegas really feel it. Ku Jing smiles. Depends. Sometimes when I run into Omega, especially the ones in heat who aren't on suppressant, they really bother me. The guy immediately laughs. What's so bothersome about that? Ku Jing says, with a smile. Give them a suppressant shot. The guy thinks Ku Jing's joking. What alpha carries suppressants around? But actually, Ku Jing really does carry suppressants. As an alpha with super intense hormones, has to be ready for emergencies at all times. Or the weird hostility from other alphas. Like carrying strong suppressants with him. Ku Jing looks at the Omega calming down in his arms. He sighs. Glad he had it on him. Or he'd be totally sure. Not long ago, a drunk executive suggested, if Ku Jing dares to stay in an Omega restroom for 1 minute, without causing a scene, he'll sign the contract. Facing the challenge, Ku Jing would normally fake passing out drunk, and not take the bait. to get the contract signed. But this time he already had a plan. No need to do something so touchy. Because he happened to see the restroom was being cleaned, so he agreed. Turns out there was still an accident. Just then, Yu Zhao wakes up, sees Ku Jing and his eyes fill with shock. Ku Jing asks, "You okay? Why were you tied up in the restroom?" Yu Zhao doesn't know Ku Jing, so 拿手一走 silently pushes Ku Jing away and tries to stand up. Ku Jing tries to help, but Yu Zhao dodges. "I can stand up myself, thanks." Just a moment ago he was so passionate. Now he's cold as ice. Right then, the backup Yu Zhao called finally arrives. It's a stylish Omega named Huashi. Huashi Roshijin sees Yu Zhao disheveled, standing with an alpha. He's shocked, quickly goes over to ask Yu Zhao if he's okay. Yu Zhao shakes his head, says he's fine. Then Huashi eyes Ku Jing suspiciously. "Who are you? Why are you in the Omega restroom?" Facing the sudden interrogation, Ku Jing's beaten back. He thinks for a second, sees a mop nearby, explains he's just cleaning, then grabs the mop and hurries out of the restroom. Huashi and Yu Zhao are both stunned. When Ku Jing gets back to the private room, the executive curiously asks what he's holding. Ku Jing says with a smile, "It's the mop from the Omega restroom." To protect himself, he locked himself in the restroom. But just then, an alpha barges in. The man puts his hand on his waist and gently tells him, "Omega, this might hurt a little." Yu Zhao tells him this strange alpha was about to do something to him. Pain shoots from his butt. Yu Zhao cries out, almost at the same time. The strong suppressant enters his body. Then Huashi rushes in with suppressants. Seeing an alpha in an Omega restroom, he instantly eyes him with suspicion and asks why the man's here. Facing the sudden question, Ku Jing's a bit up, seeing the mop nearby. He says he's just cleaning, then turns and leaves. She and Yu Zhao are both After Ku Jing leaves, Huashi quickly closes the restroom door, muttering about who that guy was. While asking Yu Zhao if anything happened, Yu Zhao shakes his head. But thinking about his sudden loss of control, he figures it was Yu Yang's doing. Just didn't expect Yang to use such dirty tricks. Yu Zhao's so angry he's grinding his teeth. What a total humiliation. But then Yu Zhao feels lucky it was this alpha he ran into. If it had been someone with that intention. Yu Zhao thinks back to what just happened. Takes a deep breath, still shaking. Right now Yu Zhao is disheveled, looking like a total mess. He can't go back to the table. He decides to leave. But after 2 steps, starts to sting. Next day, Yu Yang stops him with a big smile. "Hey bro, why'd you leave without a word last night? President Cheng and President Lu kept asking about they'd sign if you were there. But since you weren't, I got lucky." Xiao Qi looks annoyed. "I haven't heard anything about a signed contract." Yu Yang laughed. "Stop. Just a couple days. Once it's signed, I'll treat everyone to dinner." What's that? Yu Yang walks off smugly. Xiao Qi's pretty mad. Turns to Yu Zhao. "President Zhao, should we expose him first?" Yu Zhao raises his hand to stop him. "Let him expose himself." Yu Zhao's always so calm. If it were hot, he'd already be going after Yu Yang with a hammer. After finishing today's work, Yu Zhao tells Xiao Qi to send the report tomorrow. This surprises Xiao, because Yu Zhao's usually a workaholic. She asks curiously, "President Jiu Ling's early?" Yu Zhao nods. "Yeah, got something to do." Xiao Qi's more shocked than seeing a UFO. What kind of big deal makes President Zhao leave on time? Because normally Yu Zhao's a total workaholic. Works late every night. Like the office is his second home. Yu Zhao checks his watch. Big deal, not sure. Got a blind date. Xiao Qi lets out a gasp. "Oh, a blind date." Yu Zhao's always been single. People at the company, including Xiao Qi, figured Yu Zhao was against marriage. Said he'd more likely get sterilized than go on a blind date. However, it turns out everyone's wrong. Yu Zhao has nothing against marriage. The reason he's been single all these years isn't that he doesn't want to. Right. Yu Zhao's pheromones are too unique, so it's hard to match. Plus he has one condition that's reasonable, but also pretty demanding. Equal social status. Luckily, he finally found a suitable blind date. Meanwhile, in a fancy hotel private room, Ku Jing checks his watch. Soon after, the elevator dings. Ku Jing happily stands, ready to scream. To save them, he decisively gave them a shot. But what no one expected, the next day at the blind date, they actually reunite at the blind date. It's all because his pheromones are way